Alright, hello, welcome to our channel, The Wandering Life. I am Kerrigan, and this is my first YouTube video ever, so I'm sorry if it sucks, but this is the story of how me and my fiance, Dalton, bought a school bus and decided to ditch the 9-to-5 life and live our dreams. We have been saving money for about 3 years now to put a down payment on a house, but we couldn't really decide where to go. So we basically just said, why not just go everywhere? So we looked for maybe about 2 weeks for a bus, and we found 3 total that we wanted to look at that were in our price range and seemed to be in decent condition from what we could tell from the pictures. We wanted the first one we found was actually an hour and a half drive. The other ones were in our hometown, so we decided to look at those first. We set times to go see them, and then the day of, both buses actually sold before we could go see them, even though we made times and, messaged the people, and we're supposed to go see them before, but, it's fine. Things happen, but luckily one of the owners was very, very helpful, and she sent us to a guy that she worked with. She said she parked right next to him at work, and she knew that he also had to sell his bus. So she sent us his contact information, and we contacted him, and he said that his bus wasn't quite ready to sell yet. They still had to take out the cameras, and I'm not sure what all they took out of it, but the school had to take some stuff. And he said that we could come and see it after they were finished. So we did. And we actually ended up going home with the keys that night. We are on our way to look at our first school bus. The first one that wasn't sold out from under us. We are here to look at the bus. The guy's not here yet, so we're sitting in the car. But it's over there. This will be our future home. We just bought our bus. This is what it looks like. We've got pretty alright mileage, but I got a mustache, man. Mirror. This is our home.
Hey, what's up, guys? So it's Dalton here. At this point, we had a little while that we had to wait before we could get the bus. I was still pretty nervous about driving something that's, almost 40 feet long. I mean, I grew up on a farm where, I drove tractors and pulled wagons and stuff like that, but it had been a couple years, and we wanted to make sure that we had the ability to really get it, to where we were going to store the bus while we were building it. And a lot of that was, where we had bought the bus, it was at the high school, and I was under the impression that we had to take it around the square, which seems pretty daunting for somebody that's never driven a school bus. But the guy that we had actually bought the bus from reminded me of a way that would take me directly to the highway. And we got the bus, we went over and picked it up, and I just took it a couple laps around the parking lot over there at the school and got comfortable with it. And, it wasn't very long after that we had it on the road, and we were on the way to start the demolition of the bus.
I am following behind Dalton right now. He's driving the school bus. We finally got it. We got it a day early though, so that's fun. We had a little bit of a mishap at the gas station. I still am not convinced that I bumped it, but apparently I bumped the gas nozzle and we spilled diesel all over the side of the bus. We're repainting it anyway, right? And then our bus started smoking right as soon as we left the gas station. Immediately I had a hole in my stomach. It was like, this is it, we're done. So I'm pretty sure that it was probably just burning off the excess gas that we had spilled, but either way, it might have just, if not that, then I'm thinking that maybe it just hasn't had a full tank in a while, and maybe he got on it really hard. I don't know. It smoked for like 5 minutes while we were going down the road. I was freaking out. I had to call my mom.
Okay, you ready? We can edit
I filmed it.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
Hi, I'm Dalton,
I'm Kerrigan.
and this is The Wandering Life.
Hi, so Kerrigan thought that it would be a cool idea for us to do like a little about me section so you could really get to know us. My name is Dalton. I grew up in a small town in southern Indiana. As we film this, I'm actually sitting in our bus while we're working on it at my grandparents' farm. I grew up, it's a very small town, so I grew up on a farm doing, normal stuff like that, and I always felt like there was something that just kind of needed to change. I needed a change of scenery and a change of pace. So my senior year, I actually went to college at Ball State. I went for 4 years, eventually ended up dropping out and coming home because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I attended Ball State for graphic design. I also did printmaking and fine art, like oil painting and stuff like that. I moved home and got a factory job, and it kind of just destroyed like that whole want to create. And I always knew that there was just something nagging in the back of my head that was telling me like there's more than this, there's more to life than this, there's more than just living in this tiny little town in Indiana. And all of my creativity and drive to create had just been snuffed out by working a monotonous blue collar job. And so I started doing some other stuff to try to fill my time and started building cars. In my spare time, I actually restore vintage BMWs and drive those around and kind of sell them occasionally. But after a while, it started to just kind of come back. The feeling that there was more than this. There's so much that I haven't seen, and I don't want to work, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for 50 years just so I can get to enjoy 5 years after I retire. So Kerrigan and I eventually decided, after getting together for like a year or so, I had always wanted to move, and I finally got her on board with that. So we started saving money for a down payment on a house, and we started looking at states we wanted to live in. And after about 4 years, 3.5 years of that, we couldn't find a place that we thought would be permanent enough of a home for us to want to buy land and build a house. She had always wanted to just sell everything and get in a van and just go. And of course, me being a Capricorn and a very logical person, I was like, that doesn't make sense. What about, we don't know what the weather's like there. We don't know what the job situation is like there and this and that. So that was kind of taken off the table. But, she wore me down, and we finally got around to looking into going tiny and just building a tiny house on half an acre, a couple places. And that just didn't feel like it to me, so in 2 weeks we just randomly decided, let's buy a bus, let's do it. We constantly thought that it wasn't possible, and we were wasting all this time telling ourselves that it wasn't possible rather than just trying to figure out. So that's what we did, and now we're on this journey. So thank you guys for coming along with us, and if you're interested or you like what you have to see and you want to follow us along, you can just hit the subscribe button down below and go ahead and like the videos, or hit that bell. That way you get a notification every time we upload a new video, and you can follow along, and who knows, you might even have some say in some of the design.
Hello, this is my About Me. We originally filmed mine the same day that we filmed Dalton's whenever we were actually at the bus, but mine did not turn out very well, so I decided to remake it. And so here I am at our house now, not the bus, but also this is one of our 2 blue healers. This is Ash. I'm kind of in her spot using her window for light, and she's kind of in my way. That's how she is. But I am 24. I have lived in Indiana my whole life, and I was homeschooled my whole life. I only went to school for, I think, 3 days, and my mom pulled me out because I was already reading and they were teaching letters, and she felt as though I was obviously farther ahead than those kids, so she decided to homeschool us. So we traveled a lot when I was a kid. My parents obviously got to choose my curriculum because homeschool. So a lot, my dad was a big history buff. So a lot of what we learned was just American history in general. So we actually traveled to a lot of like battlefields and just historic sites, mainly over in this area, not really anything out west. I think the farthest west I've ever been is Illinois. But I've traveled around quite a bit in the Midwest anyway. I've been down to Florida and Virginia, and we actually went up to New York one time. One of my family friends got married, and we drove up to New York and got to go and stay in Maine for a little while, and it was so beautiful. And there's just always been something in me that wants to travel. And growing up, I remember watching my parents do the same thing every day. You know what I mean? Like, my dad worked a construction job, he was a foreman, and so he'd be gone most of the day every day during the week. And whenever he'd come home, he would just be so tired and exhausted, and I don't know how to explain it, but just that the 9 to 5, same thing every single day, and nothing ever changes, and you never really get ahead. You just kind of stay where you're at. And I mean, it's being stable, that's what that is, I get that, but there's so much more, you know, there's so much more to life. And even as a child, I remember recognizing that and thinking, why are they happy like this? You know, I don't know. Maybe I just question things. I've always questioned things, and I've always wanted more, and I just want to see everything. I've always wanted to see everything. And honestly, what I always wanted to do was just sell everything I owned and get in a van, or not even a van, like an SUV would be fine, just as long as it was big enough for me to sleep in, and just go and travel. But that was never realistic, and I knew that, and I knew that was never gonna happen. But me and Dalton had obviously talked about different things that we wanted to do whenever we met, and one of the first things that he told me was that he wanted to move to Washington, which was fine. He was like, you can come with me if we're still together then, or, you know, we can figure it out whenever we cross that bridge, but I want to leave. I've always wanted to leave. I want to go west. And it's funny because that's the one place I've never been, and I've also always wanted to go west. I always specifically wanted to go to Oregon. But Washington being right there, you know, it's not that far of a trek. But I don't know, this is just really buying the school bus and deciding to spend our entire savings, everything that we have saved up in the almost 5 years that we've been together now. We were saving for a house. We were going to buy land and build a house. After thinking about it and talking about it, it's not what either of us wanted. We don't want this normal, I don't know, the American dream. You know what I mean? Like, go to work, have a wife, have kids, have a marriage, not just a wife. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the white picket fence, the basic American dream that everybody talks about. That's not the American dream. That's not what we want. What we feel is the real dream, what everyone actually wants to do, is travel. I mean, obviously I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm sure there's people that don't want to, but everyone wants the freedom to do what they want. And by doing this, we are getting that freedom for ourselves, making it happen. And if we can do this, then anybody can. Because I don't know, I feel, if you would have asked me the day before we bought if you would have asked me the day that we bought the bus, if I thought that we could do this, and I would have been skeptical on it. This is crazy. What we are doing is crazy, but it's also the best thing that we've ever done. And I am more excited than I could ever express. But I'm also terrified because we are absolutely winging all of this. We have no idea what we're doing. Which is, it's going to be an amazing adventure, and I really, really, really can't believe that we're doing this still.